Hi folks, I'm Anthony with Two Guys in a Ride. Today Rob and I are at the Minneapolis Boat Show, and we're here with Dave Bortner from Freedom Boat Service.
Correct.
So you may recognize Dave. He's saying now that he wants a commission on this one. So we're going to have to work him in for the 3 cents, per...
Exactly.
For whatever.
My residuals.
Your residual. Yeah. So, Dave, when we talk about rare things.
Yes.
Rares are 1 of 20, 1 of 10. This boat behind us is a 1 of 1. This is the only one in this configuration. So tell us what we're looking at here.
So this is a 1930 28-foot Chris Craft Model 118 hardtop limousine, if you will.
Okay.
And a very small percentage of the Chris Craft production was built as hardtop boats, mostly for people who had homes on islands and used them in essence as a station wagon.
Oh, sure.
This particular configuration is unique. At the time, automotive hardtops were built separately from the automotive production lines.
Okay.
So there were 4 or 5 companies in Detroit who built all of the hardtops for automobiles, and Chris Craft would go to them, one of them, when they had an order for a limousine-style boat, and have a hardtop built. Now, the problem with that was that apparently Chris Craft went to several of those companies and asked them who could do it quickest. So there wasn't a guarantee that a hardtop would be built by any specific company. And the net result of that was that every single one of these that we've ever touched is different. There are no 2 that are exactly alike. So the hardtop was built in Detroit, shipped to Algonac, Michigan, and set down on the boat and then attached to the boat. So this particular hardtop has some features that include the windshield panes.
Okay.
Each roll up about 3 inches
from
to
the
provide
bottom.
Flow-through ventilation.
Oh, and you'll see the crank handles.
Yes, so these side windows also roll down.
Those roll
like
down.
Car windows.
Okay.
And then the unique part of this hardtop is the folding aft section to open up the aft cockpit here to the
Which is why this is a 1 of a 1.
This is 1 of 1.
It's the only one that was made with this particular convertible top in the back. Man.
So it's an absolute miracle that this exists, much less has been restored to the level it's been restored.
Now, okay, so talking about restoration, you have done, now that's your business, right?
That's correct.
Or at least part of it.
All day, every day. We get...
So, some things take longer to restore than others.
Yes.
Take a little more love, a little more patience, kind of like that youngest child.
Right, exactly.
So, how long has this been in restoration?
Well, this was in restoration for 16 years before we got our hands on it to finish it for the customer. And it shouldn't have taken 16 years, but it did. And the customer got frustrated and asked us to go get it and finish it and make it reliable and safe.
Okay.
So we did that. We did our part in about 6 months.
Okay. This has got a unique engine in it.
Because
most boats in this era, we're talking aircraft engines. At least typically. There were some tractor engine ones, but these ones, this is actually made by Chris Craft, yeah?
Right. So the evolution, the way that you made a boat go fast in the 1920s was with a World War I surplus airplane engine.
Okay.
And so there were a lot of famous airplane engines used in boats. Curtiss Aviation, Hall Scott Aviation, Liberty, the Liberty V12 engine from the American effort in World War I was very popular in boats. And then as things progressed and that inventory of engines was depleted, Chris Craft in particular started converting industrial engines on their own.
Okay.
So Hercules, which was a fairly famous industrial engine that was used in things like stationary generators and stationary water pumps and forklifts was a flathead 6 cast iron block engine that Chris Craft converted thousands and thousands of in the 30s, 40s, and 50s to use in boats. But this particular boat is equipped with the only engine that Chris Craft ever built, top to bottom, start to finish.
Okay, so another unique thing about it. I mean,
Yes. So this is a Chris Craft A120. It's about a 900 cubic inch flathead V8.
Okay.
The cylinders were cast in pairs. The heads were cast for the 2-cylinder pairs. So there's 4 heads on the V8, 4 sets of 2 cylinders, all bolted to a common crankshaft.
Okay. When you got the boat, obviously one of the things as a boat restorer is you want to make sure they're safe. So did you have to do anything, I mean, to the engine? Or was the engine in working order when you got it?
The engine was in working order, but the purest restoration is not necessarily the safest and most reliable way to go. So we try to blend the best of old and new and create an end product where the systems are compliant with all current U.S. Coast Guard standards. Okay. So, for instance, in this era, the fuel tanks fed from the bottom of the tank.
Okay.
And the downside of that is that if the fuel line is compromised, the tank empties into the boat and creates an explosion hazard. So we change it to the current top feed. So if that same compromise happens with the fuel lines, it's going to drain back into the tank, not into the boat.
So when let's walk back here for a minute, Dave. But when you're doing this, I mean, because you've restored so many different boats, is some of this stuff sort of pretty common knowledge to you at this point? And the guys who are looking at your boats when they come in, going, yeah, we'll have to do this and this, or is every boat unique enough that you're going, well, we better take a closer look at this one? I mean,
the standard safety things that we do, we have pretty much standardized, and it's kind of all the same steps and the same protocols. Another thing that we do is that we exchange the original copper fuel lines for current U.S. Coast Guard approved rubber, because that copper line is mounted hard to the tank and hard to the engine, and it vibrates with the engine and will eventually split and leak fuel into the boat. Another thing that we always do with a runabout style boat where the engine's under hatches in a separate room is install a modern fire suppression system, a fire extinguisher that is temperature triggered. Sensitive. So if an explosion or fire happens in the engine room, the fire extinguisher automatically goes off. Wow.
That's, you know, if you don't think about those things when you look at people driving classic boats. You just kind of assume that they're safe when they work well, but that's actually some thought you have to put into there. Now, how did you do anything with the woodwork on this, the top?
Oh, we did a great deal of varnish work to it when we got it.
Okay, but the wood itself was in pretty good shape?
The wood itself had been done already.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, this is in the back here. This would be the mother-in-law suite, or would you call this, or would you call this something else?
Open air ride in this instance, or as I said, the hardtop boat's used as a station wagon. The groceries would go in here, or whatever you were bringing back from town.
Because for the size of it, it's not a lot of storage.
No, very little. Right.
You should be able to drive a couple of minis on here and transport them. Okay, so you've got the dual gas tanks in the back.
Right.
Okay, then you've got, is that like a ski hook, or what is that?
That's a lifting ring. So the way the boats were handled, there weren't really trailers at the time, and the marinas would lift the boats out of the water in the fall and put them on a a yard trailer and move them to storage and then block them up for the winter. So the way that the boats were moved was that they were lifted straight up, and then often in over-the-water boathouses there are mechanisms to lift the boat either out of the water or just capture it so that it isn't bobbing up and down.
That would take a little getting used to, Dave. If I put all the years, the money into restoring this, and then someone took 2 hooks, because there's only 2, right?
To lift it, right. That's right.
I think in my heart we going. Okay, so we'll move up there. We got the back compartment here. You got a little cubby storage. What is that button?
The note in the center there, that bakelite.
Yeah,
is a cigar lighter.
Oh, well, of course, in case the groceries want to have a cigar.
Exactly. So that pulls out, and as you pull it away from the dashboard on a wire, it powers up and lights the
really?
The heating element.
It like stretches out, kind of.
It just kind of pulls out. It's spring loaded and will retract back in.
Oh,
and you brought it to the cigar to light it.
And that's what that motion of stretching it out was what actually.
Just pulling it away from the dash is what activated it. Yeah.
Okay. So looking at the inside of this, I mean, this has been fully restored. There hasn't been anything left. I mistakenly thought the cushions were like an extra thing. You know how you have like 20 pillows on a bed instead of the 2 you need. But those are the cushion that you see on the floor, that would have been on the seat.
On the seat,
and that's what you sat on.
You'd sit on.
And in comfort.
Yes.
Man, I love this convertible top. That is just unreal. I've got to guess. This is all hard. There's besides rolling down the windows. When most people had a boat like this, how did they dock it out? Do they have a chauffeur? What was kind of the norm?
Well, in this era and the kinds of homes that people would have had with a boat like this, the boat would have been driven by a chauffeur usually.
Okay. So they would have gotten in, they would have you probably gotten to someplace where they had people on the dock to help the boat come in and
likely, and a boat like this at the time would have been kept in an over-the-water boathouse.
Okay.
So now, most of those were set up so that you could just pull right in.
If it did not come with a convertible top.
Yes.
Okay. So it comes straight out, straight down. Was there something for you to exit out this way, or
most of the hardtops were all hardtop, didn't have that folding section, and had a hatch access in the center, so the hatch would lift up and slide forward over the roof, and then there was a lift out portion in the back to open up so that you could enter the boat.
I like how their armrest becomes a foot, right for your
step for your feet, get in the boat.
And then you had, I'm guessing, these little handlebars behind the driver and passenger seat were not so much grab bars, but towel hanging bars, like cars were.
Lap robes, wool blankets would be hung over those.
Because there wasn't a heater in there.
No heater.
Okay, so you would want something warmer if this was your boat, especially. I mean, there would be a point you couldn't use it anymore, but
early spring, late fall.
We'll get a little cool. Yeah. Okay. And then you have a little storage area behind that towel bar.
Yes. There are small storage cubbies back there.
Okay. And then the middle seat would have folded down.
Yes, it lifts out, actually. The seat back lifts out so that you can get through the seat.
Is it then a clear passage? You don't have to step over anything?
No, you have to step over just the seat back.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you got to step over that, and then so that's how the driver, front passenger, would get in.
Right.
I mean, there wasn't any other way to get in. Okay. And then, so on the dash or on the steering wheel, is that the throttle?
The throttle is on the right-hand side. The choke lever is on the left-hand side.
It's amazing how many of these features were car-like.
Oh,
it came straight out of the car
industry. The technology developed kind of concurrently.
Yeah.
And all the boat manufacturers were very near Detroit. So, yes, they shared things like steering wheels and steering columns and horns and spotlights and windshield wipers were all, those instruments are specific to Chris Craft, but they were manufactured by Stuart Warner, who did all the automotive instruments as well.
And that's just interesting, the whole front windshield, that we've seen that on 29 and 30 model cars where the bottom of the windshield would actually crank up like a window.
Yeah.
And of course, you can see the handle cranks up in the window here above the windows, and then over here you can see the window cranks for the main windows that are here.
Right.
Okay.
And then you'll also note there's another cigar lighter on the dashboard to the right of the instrument panel.
Oh yeah, right here. Okay, I see it. And then of course you had a nice ornate dashboard in the middle, and those gauges all work.
Yes.
Okay. I gotta say, I do love the floating cork.
Yeah.
I love to see the wine bottle that came out of.
It's we've got to drink it awful fast to keep up with the demand for the keychain.
For the keychain. And up here on the very top, of course, you had what kind of I thought at first glance was luggage rack, but this is
those are handrails to help you safely get from the back to the front as you inch your way around on the covering boards.
Okay, and then just before we close up here, on the front here, you got, of course, your navigational lights on either side.
Correct, yes.
And then there's that other toe, or that lifting hook.
Ring, yes.
You've got a spot lamp, and then what was underneath that hatch?
That's a storage area, so...
That's interesting. So could you get to it from in here?
Absolutely not.
You would have to cry all the way around. And what's interesting, so you've got a foot grip there.
Right.
But the rest of the way, it's all polished wood besides your grab rail. No wonder why you want your grab rail.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Okay.
That was a storage of last resort.
The storage of last. And maybe the last thing you tried to... Yeah. Maybe the last thing you did.
Right.
It just slipped into the icy water. Well, Dave, thank you so much again for spending your time with us and your knowledge of this particular Chris Craft boat. What an amazing story. Thank you for bringing it back to life so the rest of us can enjoy it.
Great. Thanks for visiting with me.
Always a pleasure.
You as well. Thanks.
Thanks for watching.